Like, this is all new for me, guys, because I was in a long, almost 30-year relationship.
Actress
Like this is all new for me, folks, since I was in a long, very nearly 30-year relationship entertainer. Tisha Campbell has had a fruitful vocation for north of 30 years, yet uncovers her separation from Duane Martin. This is whenever I've first at any point been so definite my siblings, never at any point, knew precisely when I was watching I resembled. I said all that I felt you realized totally uncovered you don't know anything about great show on the off chance that you don't follow the unpleasant energies between Duane Martin and his ex Tisha Campbell. Evidently right. When Martin figured he could continue on with his own personal business, Tisha, approached with additional dreadful and terrible subtleties of their conjugal life, thoroughly cracking her ex-mate out with her bad-to-the-bone truth. Like nobody knows this. And I'm uncovering this right now. Greetings, everybody. And welcome back to Celeb Live Channel. It's an obvious fact that Duane Martin and Tisha Campbell has had their reasonable portion of show previously, and that all appeared to have begun starting from the start of their marriage anyway. Even after the separation that came as a shock for some fans in 2018, the ex-couple doesn't quit quibbling a lot of the public entertainment. And it seems like Tisha is about going to spill everything and thoroughly obliterate Martin's picture with her sensation disclosures activity to specific signs of few certain distinctions, complete contrast reversals after almost 30 years of marriage. Tisha Campbell concluded she had enough of her better half, Duane Martin's poisonousness, and she petitioned for legal separation, leaving fans can't help thinking about what might have been the explanation of this apparently solid couple self-destructing. As a source originally said there was no particular issue that divided them, and as it turned out later on, Tisha had a ton to get off her chest, beginning with Duane's fascinating private decisions and extramarital trickeries with his own companions, and finishing with rehashing episodes of homegrown abuse. Appears as though Duane Martin has a ton of retouching to do to his own standing after Tisha's stunning disclosures, and sources currently say that the entertainer overreacts, that his picture in Hollywood will be obliterated, assuming anybody trusts his ex. So educator you ridiculously. We truly respect your grit. Clearly, Tisha had to deal with a ton during her union with Duane, and she decided to ignore numerous things this man had been doing. Just after she sought legal separation, Tisha additionally recorded on for a controlling request against Martin, guaranteeing he has been genuinely brutal in their relationship. For a really long time, she asserted, named I had been genuinely, intellectually, and truly abused. I kept things stowed away from my family. His family are companions and the public. The entertainer said in her recording that the latest episode had happened a couple of months before she sought legal separation. It was especially frightful when Martin attempted to get close with her, despite her desire to the contrary, and realizing Tisha's tragic tale about being abused in her life as a youngster, I would rather not envision what repulsiveness she had remembered in those days. Well, no big surprise that she petitioned for legal separation very quickly after that sickening episode. In some cases, there's such a lot of responsibility and disgrace and humiliation, and even security. As Tisha said, she generally accepted she was a resilient lady by keeping her ex's supposed abuse out of wraps, yet presently concedes she's terrified that he will proceed with his wild exercises with another casualty. As the entertainer added, she got a handle on humiliated by talking, yet reality, with regards to his harmful nature, was a higher priority than her disgrace. I can, as of now, not live in anxiety toward reprisal. The need to squeeze criminal accusations for his hatchet eclipses the humiliation of unveiling his violations against me through this report. While this one episode it is sufficient to understand the profundities of Duane Martin's horrendous nature, it's not the finish of the story. And his says her eyes opened after Lisa B. McCoy's disclosures about her better half, Michael Missick, laying down with Duane Martin some way or another inside that relationship. I lost my better half to Duane Martin, And when I presented them, that was perhaps of the most awful thing I could possibly do, it appears, as though Martin was additionally investigating his cozy inclinations back in the days. And he saw as nothing better than to interface with every one of the accessible men with the assistance of his companions. So this is essentially the way in which Duane purportedly got into the ensnarement with Lisa Beam's better half Michael. And as the entertainer expressed this manly relationship with advantages demolished her. Marriage Tisha was not even stunned to learn about the side of her now. X knowing his unmistakable, she isn't astonished that more frightful privileged insights and secret bits of insight are coming to see the light, and evidently Lisa Beam's ex-companion wasn't the main sweetheart kid in Duane's bed. Now it appears as though Tisha is separating everything about her hopeless ex. And as she said, she was speculating about that sentiment between Will Smith and her own hubby, yet didn't anticipate that they should endure yet. I never relied on the last thing, the enduring, for an extremely long period. Clearly it slipped by everyone's notice for Tisha. When her better half was getting in out of a country with long-lasting companion Will Smith and paparazzi, recognized the supposed several darlings in Trinidad, Miami, and even Rio hanging out virtual entertainment clients are past stunned by the as of late re-emerged truth about Martin's poisonous side. They accept that he has been doing Tisha grimy for each of the 30 years of their association, and don't feel frustrated about him by any means. As one client composed disgrace on you, Duane Martin, how is it that you could do that to her? That was not right at all, cheating. And another client added he was presumably envious of her profession. She was the one working consistent, he wasn't, it appears. As though it took Tasha a ton of boldness to break liberated from the limiting chains of her harmful marriage. And when this woman found her opportunity, she understood what a horrible she's residing in such an extremely long time. And she became to caution others about the things she'd had to deal with, so every other lady would see the rehashing design in their own marriage adequately fortunate to be a piece of a few truly verifiable things. It shocks me. Even as one insider asserted Tisha was remaining with Duane fundamentally due to their children. And on the off chance that you don't know, folks, the ex-couple invited two young men harmony in 2001. And began 2009. After the entertainers went through a while to, drawn out separate from the group of four, moved into a co-nurturing dynamic, with one source guaranteeing she considered cognizant uncoupling. And she planned to do that until the children got somewhat more established. At the end of the day, she chose to push ahead with a separation from him, regardless of having a kid with unique necessities and a plenty of undertakings to deal with all day. Tisha concluded nothing more will be tolerated, and presently she is on to another objective of her life, to show the genuine idea of her horrendous EX. I decided to go different course, a lot to the disappointment of a portion of individuals who prompt me yet. I think it was the most ideal decision. And here's one justification for why Tisha couldn't tolerate staying with doing any second longer. The entertainer likewise focused on the staggering monetary cost for split, caused making sense of she was poverty-stricken and almost destitute. During the separation cycle, Tisha Campbell blamed her ex for stowing away and misusing assets during their marriage. They petitioned for Section 7, Chapter 11 a year prior to their turbulent split, charging their obligations added up to more than $15 million anyway. As it turned out, Duane got monetary assistance from none other his brother Will Smith, and he utilized the credit to purchase a house, sell it for $1 million, and pocket the benefits toward the day's end. Tisha wasn't even certain the way in which she planned to get by while her harmful ex had the vital total in his wallet. God, this is an alternate change in my life. Am I going to make it a? I don't be aware, as the entertainer expressed it, was a terrible second, acknowledging what a low canine her mate was sooner or later checking her ledger. Tisha was crying from pulverization, as she guaranteed in her meeting. I had nothing. Nobody realizes that except for I had nothing in the bank, nothing. I had perhaps $7 in my possession. And I was frightened it was like I was starting from the very beginning anyway. As Tisha later demonstrated to herself, he didn't require a man close to her side to become famous. And presently glancing back at her hard past with Duane Martin, she sees these years as the hardest illustration to get familiar with a destruction can be a lovely obliteration. When you emerge on the opposite side, and you continue to truck now, 3 years after her separation from Duane, is settled Campbell is in a vastly improved space monetarily and sincerely. And she feels that treatment and work assisted her with returning to her genuine self now. She sees her ex records through another viewpoint. And she needs to make the world see this individual for he truly is. And she won't hesitate to criticize him. It's something else for me there's a tad of responsibility however, I realize that I need to do what I need to do now. It seems like Tisha can't neglect herself perpetually.